Be speaking about marriage.
Here we go.
Now, marriage, of course, is one of the very hot topics of our time. Now, people say, and of course this relates not just to marriage, it relates to relationships other than marriage. I mean, obviously we know we're talking here about homosexuality. Now, the thing here is, people say, what difference does it make? It is a victimless crime. If two adults get together, two men, two women, to have a sexual relationship, who are you hurting? Why shouldn't they be able to contract a relationship just like they would in business or somewhere else like that? Well, of course, the same argument could be applied to incest. A brother and a sister, adults, can't they themselves freely contract? Is there a victim here? And in Sweden, there is incestuous marriage as well. Half siblings can marry. The answer to this is that these relationships are not so much in the interpersonal sphere. They're not about I encountering another person and forming a free agreement or a contract. They relate to the personal sphere. The relationship between the human being and God is distinct from that other area. It has to do with personal identity. That means the human being, him or herself, was created from the union of man and woman. And so on, they go to form, to perpetuate themselves. They again encounter a spouse of the opposite sex, and from them is produced further offspring. There's also certain spiritual concepts here which make the combination of masculine and feminine, which are actually dimensions of the divine, part of the human likeness, the likeness of God which is in the human being itself. But one of the most important things is this. Human identity is the human beings are different from all other creatures inasmuch as they identify with their offspring and offspring with their parents. Animals also form a union and produce offspring, but they do not maintain that bond with their parents beyond basic nurture. What is it that makes it so important for me to relate to my biological parents? This is the fact that I find my identity in them. I am who I am as the child of my father and mother. My children, my wife and myself, understand ourselves as the parents of that child. And the next generation, the child relates back to me and my wife. So you understand, this has to do with human identity. Homosexual marriage and so on, with all of its reproductive apparatus, to commission children. Commissioners' children are not related to their parents, not the union of those parents. So there is something which is not just biological but also spiritual, which is missing here. Human sexuality has to do with human identity. It's not something which can be freely contracted, not with a sibling, not with another person of the same sex. This doesn't mean we look down, we want to persecute anybody who have attractions in this area, but it's a disorder which actually affects human identity. It is not an interpersonal issue.
There's a great moment in the 4th chapter of John's Gospel where Jesus finds himself alone, sitting by a well at midday in a region of Samaria. While he's there, a woman shows up. It's midday, which probably means she's some kind of outcast. The respectable people would get their water in the cool parts of the day. Although it goes against the custom of the day, Jesus strikes up a conversation with this woman. And sure enough, it soon comes out that she is an outcast. She is, to use archaic terminology, a loose woman. She has had 5 husbands, and the man she is living with currently is not her husband. How does Jesus react to this woman? He's a great moral teacher of the age. Is he going to distance himself in case somebody sees them together and gets the wrong idea? Is he going to offer her some moral advice and tell her to get married as quickly as possible? Jesus does neither of these things. Instead, he offers her water. He says mysteriously that he has access to a source of life that will quench her thirst once and for all. Pointing to the well in front of them, he says, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I will give them will become a spring of water welling up to eternal life. Now, the reason why I begin with this story is because I think we too need to hear these words as much as the woman by the well. We too have a complicated relationship with marriage and romantic relationships generally, and I suspect it's for the same reason. What I mean is that in our society we have placed all our eggs in the romantic basket, whereas other societies might emphasise blood relationships or clan loyalties or friendships, and you might recall the way Shimon was talking about relationship with parents just then. We have allowed sexual relationships to eclipse pretty much everything else for us. The only competitor to the romantic relationship, as I said, is the relationship with children. Not our relationship with parents, but our relationship to our own children. The result of this is that we have all kinds of peculiar feelings about marriage. On the one hand, we value marriage very highly. To be denied marriage is to be denied a basic human right. Everyone is desperate to have the possibility of marrying, and we have all kinds of fights breaking out over marriage because of this. On the other hand, we are wary of marriage because we have so much invested in the romantic ideal. We are scared to invest too much or too boldly in any one person. So we've come to a place where most people still want to get married and yet don't. The pattern is that of John 4, a series of long-term relationships that won't last. I don't want to say that these issues aren't important, but I think that if we take Jesus' cue, they aren't the most important thing. The first thing we need to know is that marriage can't actually do all that we hope it will do. Marriage can't bring fulfillment, ultimately. That's something that only a relationship with God can bring, and Jesus claims to be able to offer it to us.
I know. Perhaps we'll stop after this for some questions. Change the pace.
That's okay. Right. Family in Islam is considered to be the brick which forms the foundation of a society. It's composed of a man and woman that have permanent relation established between them. In the context of marriage, there is one very important difference between man and women. Women are the ones who can bear and nurse children. This is an extremely important responsibility. On the other hand, Islam assigns the husband the responsibility of financially supporting their wives. This allows women to concentrate on what is really important, the families, and then men are also given the position of leadership to balance their greater responsibility of support. The husband and the wife do complement one another. Each has his own designated role and responsibility. Together, they complete the family, and that's why Islam has set the basics on which marriage should be built. In Islam, marriage is a contract, like a commercial contract between a man and a woman to live as husband and wife. A formal binding contract is considered integral to the religiously valid Islamic marriage and outlines the rights and responsibilities of the groom and the bride. The marriage must be declared publicly, divorce is permitted and can be initiated by either party. Now, rights and obligations of spouses. According to Islam, both men and women have rights over each other when they enter into a marriage contract, with the husband serving as protector and supporter of the family most of the time from his means. This guardianship has two aspects for both partners. The husband is financially responsible for the welfare and maintenance of his wife and any children they produce, to include, at the minimum, providing a home, food and clothing. In return, it is the duty of the wife to safeguard the husband's possessions and protect how wealth is spent. If the wife has wealth of her own, she is not obliged to spend it upon the husband or the children. It's her own affairs, as she can own property, assets in her own right. So the husband has no right of her property and assets except by her will, if she can determine so. A pre-marital agreement of the financial expectation from the husband is in the dowry, given by him to the wife for her exclusive use, which is included as part of his financial responsibility. The husband provides physical and emotional strength, loyalty, sexual fidelity, honor. In return, the wife is to guard the secrets of her husband, to be honorable, loyal, and faithful. Thank you.